Welcome back into the non-league paper roundup. Couchy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well. It sort of feel like obviously the season only finished a couple of weeks ago for us with the Oldham Southend final, but it does feel like it's been quite a while now. And I don't really normally go to pre-season friendlies, but I've sort of almost started thinking about maybe going to one this year.
I mean, in this week's NLP, we're printing it the pre-season friendlies for the first time, and we've had some excellent response from clubs, and I was compiling them up earlier in the week, and people are playing now. Would you believe? It's incredible.
That is too soon.
Teams are actually starting to play now. Yeah, and it goes on right throughout to the beginning of August. There's thousands of games. There's plenty of football out there. I mean, even on the telly now. I mean, it's supposed to be a close season, and we've got under 21s championship. We've got the Club World Cup. We've got the women playing as well. There's football just never stops, does it? And it's the same in the non-league world as well.
Definitely not starved of football, and I think some of the attendances in non-league are bigger than some of those Club World Cup ones as well.
That's it. I think there was one the other day with I think 90 people.
That's basically it. So it was like 3,500, and someone had given a count up, and it was like not quite that, but yeah. So it's like
not the best.
Yeah, it shows. Turns out that's what happens.
But no, like
we said, exactly. So since we last spoke, as we just said, there, Oldham got promoted into the Football League. Yeah, that's another big club. Another big club gone.
Yeah, it's a good. Yeah, it's a big. I think it's a big miss for non-league football. Huge football club. I enjoyed sort of working alongside Oldham and their huge fan base, and it was always when it was Oldham Southend in the final, we knew we were going to lose one of them. Arguably the two biggest fan bases in non-league, and fair play to Oldham. They got the job done, didn't they? And that day at Wembley, where you were at, and I know it was on your review of 24-25. It was a cracking game, and you clearly enjoyed it. And Mickey Mellon's done it again, isn't he? And they found themselves in League Two, and probably in a much better place than when they left it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Old Master Mickey Mellon gets another promotion out of the National League. That's 3 now, obviously with Fleetwood and then Tranmere, and obviously then he took Tranmere on again. So can he go and do that with Oldham? Time will tell. But yeah, it was a great game. It was, I mean, you feel for Southend because they, more than played their part, and their story is incredible as well. Kind of, you probably forget how it wasn't that long ago that there was question marks over their future and playing in the league and all that kind of thing that they've had to battle through. Kind of feels like it was a while ago, but actually really wasn't. So incredible job by Kev Mayer and his side to get themselves there in the first place. And the game sort of swung back and forth. The atmosphere was incredible. I know there's all the sort of the hoo-ha about the tickets and the allocations beforehand, but really atmosphere was brilliant inside the stadium. And look, Southend, the game sort of swung back and forth. Southend were kind of maybe starting to think, have we kind of done it? And James Norwood is who kind of joked that he might have to start paying rent at Wembley because he's had some big moments there. He's won and lost there, but he really turned it on with a big moment when his team really needed it to equalise. Actually, that goal was better every time I look back at it. You kind of when you see it live in the stadium, you think, well, that was a good goal. But it's when you look back and watch the replay, you really, really appreciate how class that. And then obviously they've got the goal straight after. It was just absolute chaos. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in a non-league final. I've seen, Chris Wilder running up and down the touchline when Oxford United got there a few years, got promoted at Wembley quite a few years ago now. And Darryl Clark went off on a mad run when Bristol Rovers won on penalties as well 10 years ago. Yeah. But you see people going behind me, but when that third Oldham goal went in, it was going absolutely bananas in the sort of, because where the press box is, we were that side, Oldham side, so they were going absolutely bananas. It was
inside, isn't it?
So they say.
7 or 8 teams all won in that league. Yeah. I mean, I glad you touched on Southend, because what they achieved just to get to that stage was was incredible. I was at their semi-final against Forest Green, and they were never really fancied to win that. Forest Green were heavy favourites, but they went there, having already won away in the eliminator. Went to Forest Green, absolutely nothing to lose. Big fan base behind them, and really turned it on and won a very tight game in extra time there to get to the final. And would have been the first time that a team had finished 7th and got promoted. And they come mighty close, didn't they?
Yeah, they certainly did. And you'd expect to see them kind of back in the mix again next year, because that's kind of how it is now. Last season everyone draws a line under it really quickly, don't they, and moves on. York obviously had their disappointment, but some of the signings they've been making already have been impressive. See, they're bringing Ash Palmer as well this week, haven't they? Obviously one promotion from the division with Stockport County, and as to Alex Newby that they signed as well, and then Ollie Banks has obviously gone up with Chesterfield. So they've had a pretty good summer shopping so far, Adam Hinchelwood, isn't he, with York? Yeah. And that's kind of it at the moment, isn't it? Everyone in the division, everyone thinks they're going to sort of be up there and do well. The signings they made are the best signings ever, and the teams who you might think might struggle at the moment, they sort of think they're gonna get out of it. So it's kind of the fun part of the year. Everyone's sort of enjoying themselves, aren't they? Because there's no football on a Saturday to ruin or dampen your mood.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they look the team to beat, don't they? Again, strengthened, as you say, from last year. They keeping hold of Ollie Pearce was going to be key, and it looks like they've managed to do that. There's a lot of talk about Huddersfield, but I think Huddersfield are going to need a part with a lot of money if they're going to pick him up. And there's, as you say, those 3 new signings really do strengthen them, and they look pretty strong. I think I mentioned in our previous chat that it's rare that you see a team come down as strong as Carlisle look. I picked up Morgan Beanie this week, one of their former fans' favourites. They'll see that as a huge signing. A guy who played 40 games in League One last year. That's a big statement of intent from Mark Hughes, and it'd be interesting to see how Mark Hughes gets on this year. Obviously, it's an environment he's not particularly used to, but he's a winner. He's high profile for a reason, and I think those two look the two to beat, and there will be a pretty decent battle in the north between them two. I think next season it's just whether anyone can join the party, really.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they will. It's kind of it's I think you think back to this time last year. Did people expect York to go and get 96 points and finish second in the league? Well, probably not. They're obviously making some good signings then, weren't they? But there was kind of a little bit of unknown with them, and that's kind of the beauty of the National League, how competitive it is. You kind of talking to different managers through the summer, everyone's kind of that same opinion. I was talking to Adam Lakeland this week for a piece in the paper. Obviously, gone in at FC Halifax. And you look at them, and he's saying, not hiding from the fact there's quite a bit of work to do because they've lost some good players, as they do every single year. But they've been I think he was kind of saying, you could argue there hasn't been a better side in the division in the country at the minute for producing players and pushing them on into the Football League the last few years, as they have under Chris Millington. Look at
done it every year. Every year they've done it, and they managed to prove us wrong. They've proved me wrong many times. I've written them off previously, and just keep sneaking into them playoffs, don't they? And sneaking in, they did it pretty comfortably this year. Keep doing it. Big tough job for Adam Lakeland, though. Excellent choice. I think he's been tremendous in the league below. Certainly deserves his opportunity. Tough job. He's mixing it with some big guns in there. I'm sure he's going in there with a plan. Whether Halifax have the funds to be able to keep that going amidst such fierce competition remains to be seen. But he certainly won't go into it blind. He's a good football manager, and bit of a challenge on for him this year. And wish him all the best because, as I say, we've been championing for managers in those lower divisions to get their big opportunity when they deserve them, and Adam Lakeland's certainly in that category, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. He's managed a lot of football games, and I think one of the things you can look at and what he's sort of excited about is, like you say, going up against some of these big sides and these big tests, because he's shown in the past that his other clubs that he, in cup competitions and things that they can do that. He did that at Farsley and Curzon as well, and obviously he's got Kings Lynn into the playoffs last season after a difficult first year, to keep them up and to ride through quite a difficult sort of storm. So he leaves with his head held high. But talking about champion of people going up, there's been loads of players going into the Football League as well over the last couple of weeks. It's almost hard to keep up with, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. We basically ran a front page on it, didn't we, last week? The four guys who made their way in the Football League, and it just keeps coming. And already this week there's been another batch. Delighted for Will Davis. I was lucky enough to speak to Will during last season at Sutton. He had a tremendous season there, and he's gone into Fleetwood. Really, really pleased for him. And as I say, they just keep coming, and it's just great for non-league football. The fact that these guys now have a platform in which they're being spotted, and fair play to the EFL clubs for that. Really, I mean, they obviously see that that diamond in the rough is still out there, and there's a lot of non-league footballers who are doing great things in the EFL, and it looks like that's going to continue.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Reece Smith's another one who's going from Maidenhead to Harrogate. I think one of the things that I quite like about it as well is it's not just players who are been doing well in step 1 and 2 that get their chance. You're looking at players down at step 3s and 4s and kind of even lower than that as well in some cases.
Charlie Warren
at Felixstowe, who was obviously gone to Bolton last week, and kind of has been on the cards for quite a while that he would get a move. He was trialling at Bolton through last season, but still doing the business for Felixstowe as well. So it's kind of great when players at those kind of clubs as well are being recognised. It shows what good work the coaching staff and the management at all these
absolutely in
the country. They're doing such a good job that they're getting these young lads in positions to go and kind of earn those professional contracts. So it's it's great to see, and no doubt there'll be many more in the coming weeks. One thing as well, wasn't it? You mentioned earlier about looking back at last season and all that kind of thing. I thought it may be interesting to sort of we did our best moment, our best players, our best managers of the year, sort of individually, and some of our other NLP contributors as well, kind of through their names and picks into the ring as well. But one of them was what would you change for next season, for 2025-26 season? And you've got a bit of you don't like the subs, do you? You'd probably change that, wouldn't you, Couch? That we
I mean,
5 subs.
I get the meaning behind it. I really do. I understand sort of the need to bring it in, and to protect players and rest up, and it also gives youngsters a chance to play in that first team environment. Having 7 subs, I just feel that there was a few instances this year. We got some correspondence from supporters who are a bit frustrated by it as well. Just affects the flow of the game. And I think there's one game which was pretty tight, and I think both teams sort of around about the 70th minute mark started making a raft of substitutions, and it was used as a tactic really to slow the game down and to lose its momentum. And I think the game ended up winning 1-0, and what would have been a tense affair to the end, and a sort of battle of wills, if you like, ended up being like a bit like an England friendly used to be, but with all the changes and good management, really. I mean, when you've got that in your armoury and you're trying to defend a 1-0 lead, I think I'll probably do the same. But it's a little bit negative, and it's a little bit, I really don't know the answer either.
Well, I think maybe it's like talking about going into like the 3 blocks like they have in like the EFL, don't they? Make 3. You got 3 windows as such to kind of, because one of our other contributors, Mark Stillman, raised it in the paper as well. He said he doesn't mind the 5 subs, but he prefer it in the block, in the windows where, you know, you can make. You've got 3 separate occasions in the game where you make subs. If you only made 4 by the time you've made your third, in the third window of subs, you don't get to make your 5th as well. So maybe that will be something to look at. Personally, I've sort of said before about the playoffs, and kind of, I don't like how in the National League, I like the playoff system, but I don't really like the way that they're pre-drawn. So this year York finished 2nd, and then they ended up playing Oldham in the semi-final, even though Southend had finished 7th, and they played Forest Green because it's pre-drawn, you know, 4th versus 2nd, or the winner of 4th versus 7th, and third play the winner of 4th versus 7th, and 2nd play the winner of 5th versus 6th. So I don't really love the way. I prefer to wait. Let's see who gets through from the eliminators into the semi-final, and then the lowest ranked team goes to the highest ranked team. But I don't know if many other people sort of think that. And also, I'm not a massive fan of the dual reg, where players are getting parachuted in for playoff games at the end of the season and drop down. I think that sort of maybe
happened a lot.
Quite a bit last year. And you know, again, get why clubs do it, but it does seem a bit funny for players to sort of play a lot of the season for one club, and then right at the back end of the season come in and help a team into the playoffs, or actually help them in the playoffs, kind of as their first, almost sometimes first appearance.
Also, like the selling club as well. You know, it saves on their budget towards the end of the season when if they've got nothing to play for, etc. So really, it's a no-brainer for all concerned, but it's not a fair system in my view. I agree.
Yeah, definitely. So anyone who's watching and you've got any views on kind of what things you rule changes, or something that you would bring in for next season, or something that irks you that you'd like to be looked at, it was always interesting to know different views, and we can have a debate about it next time. But we'll leave it there. Couchy, thanks for your time, mate. And we'll get back to a busy paper for this weekend. We've got quite a lot going in there, haven't we? We've got obviously, like I said, Adam Lakeland. I've spoken to him. Caught up with
Simon Grayson.
We've got all the managers are coming in this week. Craig Marn, who's gone in at Fylde. Simon Grayson.
I spoke to Declan Howe at Scunthorpe's new signing. Really nice fella. He's on holiday at the moment, so I don't know whether we'll see it or not. I don't know. But hopefully he's watching this as well. But no, he was great, and he's really excited about going back to Scunthorpe. So yeah, nice piece there.
Well, no more holidays for you, mate. You got I'm
done now.
You're done now. Won't be such a break between the last one and this one, because Couchy's not going on holiday for a couple more weeks. So
no,
we will we'll catch you then. See you on the. Cheers, Couchy. See you soon.
Thanks, mate.